Well, now it's time to bring you the first feature on the show today. The coast is now clear for Ngozi Okonjo Iweala in the race for the World Trade Organization Director General, as South Korea has withdrawn its Yoo Myung-hee from the race. That's the candidate from South Korea. That's according to the Washington Trade Daily. Following the resignation of Roberto Azevedo, Ngozi Okonjo Iweala, Nigeria's candidate, has since secured the popular vote by a wide margin as at October the 28th, but was not named a DG because the U.S. opposed her candidacy. With her as the lead, this now sets a new record as being the first female World Trade Organization Director General. However, there are speculations that the U.S. might just change its stance following Donald Trump's failure to get re-elected as president. After the October 28th meeting, the World Trade Organization also says that Okonjo Iweala had the best chance of getting a consensus. The November 8th General Council meeting scheduled to consider the appointment of the next DG was also postponed. Now another general meeting is expected to be scheduled for December the 17th. Well, joining me now in our Lagos studio to discuss this and much more, I have finance analyst Somi Akindikbet. Good to have you on the Business Nigeria show today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, it's been quite a race so far, months and months and months up and now, and then we see that the coast is finally clear for Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala to take the lead as the World Trade Organization DG, with a step down that we've seen from Yoo Myung-hee as well.
Exactly. And now, with the look of things, the chances are better. And I think that she did not step down. That's the South Korea trade minister.
She didn't gather enough of support.
Yeah, she stepped down because there was no enough support. And most importantly for me, I think between the United States of America and Japan is where some sort of power lies in WTO. And I think because of the trade conflict between South Korea and Japan, definitely they are not going to get the support of Japan. So Japan will be supporting Okonjo Iweala, which they've not actually declared, but that's the direction from all that is on ground. And with what has happened in the United States of America, Joe Biden happens to be a politician, someone that can relate with a lot of people. He's been in the political space for a while, and that is what I think he is bringing to the board. So everywhere conflict has been created between Donald Trump and other countries, he will try to fine-tune.
So are you saying, in other words, you would see a change in body language of the United States in terms of reception that we're seeing? Well, if we also take cues as to what we've seen so far, the second term of Akumi Adesina as the president of the AFDB, and we also saw the opposition we also have from the United States as well for Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala. Cementing these ties at this point in time is quite crucial. We've had some backing as well from the EU, one of the biggest blocs as well, looking at France, Germany, and Italy. And so far, the key areas that they're looking towards is looking at special and differential treatment, industrial subsidies, and also dispute settlement. That's why they're throwing her weight behind her. Do you think now she will be able to deliver on all of the promises made?
I am very confident that she will be able to deliver, because if you look at what happened between Nigeria and the World Bank, and generally the countries that Nigerians were owing and the organization, she was able to negotiate to a point that Nigeria had zero balance. And that's to tell you that there's something to this woman. All the other finance minister has not been able to do that. So she was able to bring it back to 0 point. So I think it's from this administration that Nigeria started accumulating, another set of debt. So that is an advantage. That's a key strength. So she is definitely good at negotiation. So multi-trade between nations is definitely going to be something that we should look at as she assumes the office.
And our fingers still remain crossed looking at the volume of trade we also expect to see, especially as we're looking at recovery patterns. But one of the biggest tasks ahead is the fact that Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala is now positioned in a space where she has to cajole Africa as a whole in terms of internal trade issues that we have lingering. The interface between the G20 is significant. We would also want to see the implementation of the EFCFTA. We'd like to see that a stronger interface. But this position to put Africa on its toes in addressing the internal trade issues, how do you think that would also work out?
I think she has a better understanding of Africa. And because she has a better understanding of Africa, the main thing that WTO is set for is to establish regulations of trade among nations. So many a times, Africa has been underpaid for whatever they are exchanging. And so if you take, for example, Nigeria's 744 local governments, mineral resources all over the place, and this time around, when you have to exchange what for whatever, she can better position and say, okay, this and this should be the standard between this country and this African country, because most of European countries, most of the developed countries, they need Nigeria. You could see that from China, you could see that from UK. They just did a parliamentary meeting and all that stuff, coming back to Africa. So she has a better knowledge of Africa. She will be able to put a better regulation in place that will position Africa and give Africa an advantage that Africa is supposed to have gotten all the while.
Now let's also talk about making global trade much more sustainable, resilient and inclusive at this point in time. Yes, the agenda is set clear for Africa to also come to the fore, but considering the current bottlenecks we have at this point in time, how much do you think we can achieve in terms of sustainability, in terms of resilience, in terms of inclusivity as a whole together as a continent?
I want to believe strongly.
It's one thing to throw a back in behind her. It's another thing to have the African continent's leaders work as a united front as well, to see like the likes of the G20 also hold very strong forth.
I believe strongly that Africa is going to perform well this time around, most especially with the act that is going to open up Nigeria and other African countries to each other, to be able to trade with each other. That is going to jump up production. I believe that, and to a very reasonable extent, if that impact on production, that eventually is going to impact on the world inclusiveness of trade generally, in the sense that Africa will be able to take her position in the world trade. I believe very strongly that this is like a right time, a good time, because many things are set in place to come up from Africa generally, as it were. And she being there, she will be able to position and orchestrate things properly, most especially trades coming from Africa. She is positioned at such a time like this to be able to make that more meaningful, if I'm going to use that word, more profitable, if I'm going to use that word. Because in my own opinion, I want to believe that Africa has been underpaid for so many years.
Let's now talk about the interface we are seeing with the World Trade Organization, and also looking at a trade monitoring report on the G20 trade measures as well. As part of the declarations for the G20, we are seeing a call for measures to address the COVID-19 pandemic, the impact, looking at fiscal, monetary, as well as financial stability actions, calling for improved liquidity in terms of bilateral creditors as well. Borrowing still remains one of the biggest tasks for Nigeria as a country. Now looking at bilateral relations and international lending, how do you think that would also work out?
I want to believe that looking at it holistically, COVID has affected quite a number of countries. Some countries are more affected than the other ones. And what we need to do is nations generally, the ones that are less affected should go more into production. It's economic activities that generates cash flow generally in the nation. So if nations that are less affected can jump up economic activities, that will go a long way to impact on other nations. Then talking about credit that most of the nations are applying for, it's not really bad as it were, but I think we should focus more on production. Of course, there are things in the midst of the COVID. There are nations that are taking advantage of the COVID, and I use that word because the money in the world did not change location. The money in the world is still in the world, even despite the fact that there's COVID.
But the volume of demand and a whole lot more, there are new
The
disruptions.
truth is that there is a new whole set of demand which some countries are responding to.
Making their cash cow.
So if you take, for instance, China, they've experienced growth rate despite COVID or whatever. Most of the nose masks used all over the world, produced, it has just become like a manufacturing hub for most of the affected nations, producing the machines needed, the materials needed, and all of that. So if other countries can take position, it's going to go a long way.
Digital economy is also the way to go now, and that's one of the highlights as well, looking at what positions Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala separately from the pack. Now, recognizing the fact that we also need affordable, secure connectivity, this is one agenda she's trying to push forward as well, the digital economy space, and making it one of the biggest cash cows for global economies to be able to milk out of. With the current infrastructure deficit we have in Nigeria, our telecommunication space, yes, it's growing, but we still do not have enough of an interface when we are looking at boosting the digital economy in Nigeria. How do you also think that would also be quite a task for the Nigerian government to rise up to the occasion?
I just believe that the Nigerian government do not really need to do much. All they just need is put policy and the environment in place. There are people that want to invest within and outside Nigeria if the government is able to do what is needed. Now, before now, there are quite a number of companies that have come on board, try to provide digital services in different structures, stages and all. But the environment has not really been conducive. You see internet ISP companies packing up in the past, and then, before you now have the new ones and all of that. I believe that if the government can come up with a policy that is favorable to them, for instance, coming up with a policy that, okay, we understand that the first few years is not really smooth for you guys, why not do the first 3 years or the first 5 years tax-free, and why not do this and this and this, provide a very suitable environment for them. We have people that are ready to invest. Nigeria has the workforce. We have intelligent guys. By the way, it's one of the top people that discovered the cure for COVID-19 that a pharmaceutical company is pushing now happens to be in Nigeria. Nigeria has the brain. We have the resources, the human resources. We have people that want to invest. The only thing that is needed is just to sign the paper of policy, and we are all good.
Well, we just hope to see much more strategic investment and also dialogue at the end of the day, because we would have all of these fantastic elements within our policy document, and we cannot necessarily have them translate to fruitful dividends. But with the hope that we see the DG of the World Trade Organization, putting Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala, come forth by December 17th, everyone is optimistic that it's a new frontier, It's a new day, it's a new dawn. Thank you very much for your time on the show today, Somi.
You're welcome. Yeah.